a Chevrolet, maybe gone for good. Who you gonna call? Nobody! I ain't calling po-po. I ain't calling po-po. Get a band right in your head. Who you gonna call? Nobody. Now you're getting raped in your own damn bed. Who you gonna call? Nobody.
They're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill that dude.
Where the f is the cop at?
I ain't calling po-po.
It ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop.
I ain't calling po-po.
Louder with Crowder is brought to you in part by .com. Shirts, shorts, and hoodies. Oh my. That's how you support the fight with demonetization and all. Crowder Shop. Make yourself look cool and help all the right people. .com.
This mug is half empty, so I didn't get enough velocity in the
gosh.
slurp. I was
Whose
thinking
fault
about
is that?
grabbing my pipe and using the pipe, but then it would taste like old pipe tobacco.
I wouldn't do that.
In a manner of speaking, delicious. Hey, we have we have so much to get to today, but look, Dave Landau is back.
Yes.
Ahoy, everyone.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm living.
Good. He's coming in a little bit hot, Dave
he?
Landau
Am
on
I?
the microphone. We have Gerald
Coming
A
in
here.
hot. Matching my looks.
How are you?
You know,
Come on, you got to. One of these days, you got to be like just fantastic.
I am grateful for another day above ground in what used to be the greatest country in the world. I said on the world. I meant in the world. Yeah,
It is on it.
It's got very racist foundations, sir, and you have to.
It has
come to terms
racist
with that.
foundations, including the cops, including the founding
Yeah, everything.
fathers,
All of it.
including the powdered wigs,
Yeah.
including the tea.
Yes.
What else? Schools.
All of
Yeah.
it.
All of it. We're gonna talk about all of that today.
All of it.
Speaking of which, Quarter Black Garrett is here.
Hey.
So he has a quarter pass.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
And Dave, so the theme today, let me be really, we have a few things to get into,
Yeah.
but I want you to think of the overarching theme. Most people are cowards, and we're going to get into critical race theory in schools. We're going to get into community policing, which means don't call the police. Now there's a movement not only to defund the police, but to try and shame people in areas where there is a significant amount of crime. Shame them out of calling the police.
That sounds safe.
Also,
The mob was also community police, if I recall.
I think so. That's how they made their money.
Protection.
they were respected. They were respecting. I keep hearing you guys are coming in a little bit hot. I don't know why it's good. Could just
Do you
be
want
my
me to back
headphones.
up?
Yeah.
Hey, no, it's okay. So, Dave, you have a date coming up this weekend.
I do. Virginia Beach, Virginia, the Funny Bone.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, tickle it.
And you're a little tired because you were traveling back
Oh
here.
man.
I was traveling
Last night.
back here from Vegas. We could not come in because of the weather.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
you were
we're-
in Austin.
We're on a runway in Austin, and I got to tell you, when somebody is on a Spirit flight.
That's your first mistake,
Yeah.
Dave. Come
Well,
on.
first everybody's trying to decide how much, what they can get out of it. Like yelling like we all need 300 points. And then this woman stands up and she's like, "Oh, Lord," and like fakes fainting. And
because she'd been sitting on the tarmac.
yeah,
for a while?
like she was older, but it just
why would
seemed.
she fake? She thought she was.
I think it was pretend. Yeah, because everybody's like looking back at her, and the best part was when the flight attendant goes, "Is there a doctor on the plane?" And it's Spirit Air, so there's nothing, not a peep. Like somebody in the back row is gonna be like, "I'm a doctor."
Yeah,
at least I was before my script pad got all loose.
Is there a doc? Oh God, I'm on Spirit.
So-
Never
There's
mind.
David Dow when you need him.
Yeah, so they bring EMTs on the plane, and then they finally take her off the plane, even though she didn't want to get off the plane anymore.
'Cause she
But
realized she wasn't gonna get on the
yeah,
flight.
legally she had to. So it was- she may have been arrested. I don't know. Wow. I felt bad. She was a little older, but it was just like
Trying to game the system and got arrested.
to get to your next flight, and it's like they're not. Everybody was so mad, and it's like, do you want them to fly into Dallas? Like, we'll just die.
Right.
And then we had to go from Dallas to here, so it was just like unreal.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad you got here mostly safely. Okay, there's a lot to get into, but first, you guys may have missed this. We didn't talk about it yesterday. We should have. This happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Time for This Week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I guess I'm not.
So
black.
this next clip, just so you know, it makes about as much sense as Tenet, and we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah,
did you try and watch that film?
Yeah.
I attempted. It's terrible.
Yeah, I shut it off after 30
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, I hate him.
It's the kind of film that stupid people think is a really intelligent film.
Yes, it's James Bond, but not at all.
Right.
You said you hate him. Do you don't like
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I
Oh,
used
as
to
a
like
whole,
him, but
yeah.
it's just like after I saw Inception, I was just like, go to hell.
Inception was good.
No, it
That was like the
wasn't.
last
was
good
not.
one.
It was
Come on.
certainly
There's
not.
always a gimmick. It's like, hey, what's this one going to be? I don't know. Will the central foreshadowing plot element be time? Oh, who'd have thought? It's one big giant ad for
Everybody's a
Rolex.
critic.
Okay, so this is Biden. Just so you know, it makes about as much sense as Tenet. I'm pretty tired. Dave is pretty tired. Even then, this still doesn't make sense. It's Biden talking about really a subject where he has a certain level of expertise. Amtrak.
If you think about it, when I was vice president with Barack, he allowed me to put together a budget for Amtrak, and it had money for high-speed rail at 200 miles an hour from Charlotte.
He's doing math now.
Another line going
Uh-oh.
from in Florida down to Tampa. Another line. If we had moved, Gov, we'd have that tunnel fixed in New York now. The money was there to get it done.
What the?
What are we doing?
Well, former Vice President Joe Biden, the little engine that couldn't.
I like his.
I don't care about the
am I?
Express. It makes look. I feel. Why is his family not looking out for
Yeah.
him?
I know.
It's
I don't know.
shameful.
I just like that his hat's busted sideways, like he's a crip. Yeah, he looks like he's about to DJ.
Yeah,
And then forget where he's at.
Yeah, it's
just put on the mouse ears.
yeah.
Teach me, how to Dougie
Brain dead
shuffle.
mouse.
The thing with the Amtrak. All right, this has been This Week in Biden.
There's a
If you
whole.
have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
He's right. You ain't black.
I'm not.
Dang it.
I didn't
Got me
order
again.
it.
President.
If Marilyn Monroe were to sing him happy birthday, he'd poop his pants and wonder where he was for a second. What? Did someone turn on the microwave? No, it's the starlet of the decade singing you happy birthday. I need to change my Depends.
Except now it would be Lizzo. Nobody would want to be there.
It'd be Megan Thee Stallion. Eat my ass, you be a bottom feeder. Catfish? Carp?
Is that your wop?
What? What's the crustacean? I don't eat shellfish. I'm not a Jew. Come on.
Get this adult out of here. I need a child.
And this is something I want to talk about a little bit too. Again, when do you think Republicans are largely useless right now? I hate to be that guy, like it's both parties, man, but they really are mostly spineless, with a few exceptions. People like DeSantis, people like Ted Cruz, in a lot of ways. George Carlin has a famous quote where he said, "Take the dumbest person you know. Take an average person, and then understand that if you look at the bell curve, half of the population is dumber than that." And that's a funny quote. However, I think more important than just intelligence is backbone, is moral fortitude. And we have, you have a bell curve. Most people are spineless. Think of the average person you know. think of whether they would intervene, whether they would help someone in need, whether they would stand up for what matters, whether they would speak out when they know that they would face some kind of public backlash, and understand that at least half of the population are more cowardly than that. And I want to really quickly, before we go on with this is important too, because right now you hear, we're just talking about Megan Thee Stallion and all these people saying, I'm fearless. It's a lie. No one is fearless. And the problem with that is we assume that people who are brave don't have fear, as opposed to teaching young people how to exercise courage, which is doing the right thing in the face of fear, like at a PTA meeting, like with a local police department, like being a juror at the Chauvin trial, like critical race theory. So we'll go through quite a few examples, and I want to hear from you. You can comment below when you think that this cowardice permeated this country, because like it or not, we have the Second Amendment because this country was founded on courage. Look, I come from Canada. We still have the Queen on our money. We bent over and kissed the ring. It's not the same thing. Okay. Oh, before we get to all that, let's talk. It's time to talk about Don Limon.
Oh.
That's fitting.
Yeah.
So last night on CNN, Don Limon argued with Chris Cuomo.
Yeah.
That's a split screen that gives children nightmares.
Yes.
Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon. I don't know which is worse, that or then the split screen that follows with Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer.
Woof.
Oh, that is terrible. Yes.
Or then on the weekend, you can get Sanjay Gupta or Dr. Fariza and Brian Stelter and Jake Tapper.
It just keeps going down.
Yeah, it's weird because Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer does look like he transformed into him.
Right, yeah.
Like a little bit like that's the gay werewolf.
Right. Like Celebrity Jeopardy just sucked his soul out along with all his points. Lowest score ever on Celebrity Jeopardy. Wolf Blitzer was like negative 6,000. So Don Limon.
Money, Wolf.
You went into Celebrity Jeopardy and you cost the charity money.
You get nothing.
There's some kid with progeria on his last breath going, damn you, Wolf.
Right after that, Trebek's like, I don't know what I just saw, but my side hurts.
Right. But I'll beat it. Has a happy ending. So Don Limon and Chris Cuomo were arguing about the solution to what they call the delusional right. And by the way, let me set this up. When they say delusional right, they mean people who believe, for example, that your rights are being encroached upon, that identity politics is sowing division in this country, or that we may need to reform our electoral process. You are the guys who, being on the left, they want to do away with the Electoral College, and they want to make D.C. a state. We simply want to have, identification. Tomato, tomato. I know you think voter ID is radical. I think changing, D.C. to a state, and I think abolishing the Electoral College, a little more, but that's just me.
Just you, man.
The ABCs of me. That's me, Mr. Vegas. So here we go to them arguing about the final solution.
There is a wager being made on the right that they can get enough white people to believe that they are targeted, that there's been a perverse culture shift, and that they are being replaced. True? No. But it's not about facts. It's about feel.
Already know that. People already know that. And the people in the Republican Party know that. That's why
70% of them.
That's why you have an insurrection.
Biden didn't win. 70% of that party accepts
that doesn't
the big lie.
Right. That doesn't make it right, and that doesn't mean
of course it doesn't make it right. What I'm saying is if it were as simple as 2 plus 2
no value being added here, by the way.
We got to go because we're not going to agree.
I agree because I know where you're coming from, and I love you, Don Lemon.
Yeah, I love you too.
We agree on the problem. What's the solution? We got to figure it out.
I got a solution, but
whoa, hey, whoa, solution. Let's be careful. Hey. That's a weird edit bay at CNN.
Jeez.
Don't use the word, I have a
that?
solution in dealing with your political opposition. It typically doesn't help.
Yeah, it's probably not a good look.
Yeah. Speaking of which, and we don't need to do the next stinger here, but cowardice, while you're about to say something?
I was about to say, this is all based on Rick Santorum saying that Native Americans didn't necessarily affect what our founding documents represented as a country.
Of course not.
That's what this all was built up on. And
yeah.
It's like, I can't believe he didn't just come on and apologize and say he was completely wrong.
Yeah.
Don Lemon said he had a BLM kind of moment for Native Americans when he saw that.
You mean you started huffing Windex?
Pretty much.
Well, he looks like he just huffed nitrous. He's always just like his eyes are rolling around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's about to cry most of the
time. That's all he does, though.
He's
He just
having
rolls his
withdrawals
eyes.
from his gay club drug.
Oh, of course he is.
What's the one that you crack? It gives you immediate brain damage. It's like smelling salts, only for gay clubs.
Really?
Well, I
There's
guess
what I'm talking about.
I wouldn't know.
Joe Rogan talked about when I was on his
DMT?
show. No, it's not
Nitrous?
DMT.
You mean
I know I
nitrous.
mentioned Joe Rogan right away. We go to DMT.
Yeah, nitrous.
I don't know if it's nitrous. There's something specifically.
Poppers.
Oh. Like they did a
Ah.
study and they found that it immediately causes brain damage.
You mean the old Liberace? Good
Yes,
night.
Liberace.
He enjoyed one with his friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Why aren't you married? I don't know.
I don't know. I just haven't find the right gal.
Yeah.
You looking at really? Is that part of? Yeah, hopefully settling down is in the cards, or settling into a man. Oh, why am I saying this? Oh, me.
My friends all have a bad cough.
Why are you losing weight so quickly and have bags under your eyes, Liberace? Oh, it must be the chemical from my dry cleaning leaching into my system. How did it happen? Oh, I think it's AIDS. Whoops, that was it. Speaking of cowardice,
That must be it.
speaking of, and by the way, you know what? This is how far we've come. Liberace, I guarantee, would be a blast to hang out with.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Gay folks from the 90s, even the early aughts, they were so much more fun than the Elliot Pages.
Richard Simmons.
Yeah, Richard Simmons.
He sounds great.
I want to party with that guy.
Yeah.
A popper blast.
Yes. Don't drink anything from him, though.
He's
I bet he'd
kidnapped
be
by his Brazilian
hilarious.
witch housekeeper. Okay, let me move on to this here. This is his. Look, first, let me be really clear. I know that there are a lot of Catholics out there, and I am not Catholic, and I've talked about how I disagree with some of the theology, but I know there are a lot of great Catholics who do not agree with this current Pope on issues that don't relate to spirituality. Okay, so I want to be clear, this is not an attack on Catholics. However,
There's no hope with Pope.
there is no hope with the Pope. Stupid little red shoes. Here he is saying, the Pope, that we need to abandon individualism and liberty for the collective good. We've had to translate it. This is an actual, he gave this at a vaccine conference.
Dios Creador infunde en nuestros corazones un espíritu nuevo y generoso para abandonar nuestros individualismos y promover el bien común.
Well, and I know that the whole thing with the Pope is he's only infallible on issues of spirituality and speaking ex cathedra, but you know what? We're supposed to be reverential to the Pope, but I'm not. Here. Communist Pope.
Get it out of your
Sinead.
You've got to do. Listen, we're talking about cowards.
I was
Catholics.
raised Catholic.
Time for you to speak out against this Pope. Okay.
Yeah. Not good.
Okay, I will. I'm Catholic.
There you go.
Do it.
In the loose. You're a lapsed Catholic, dear.
Well, I'm a recovering Catholic.
The principle is the same.
I learned it all, and then I was like, I don't like the pedophilia.
I'm out.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry. What did I just make that up?
Yeah.
Have you not seen Spotlight, Gerald?
He didn't pull that out of the reverse triangular hat.
Yeah, I did like Spotlight, especially the end credits where it said it all happened, and you're like, where every city? And you're like, why is this longer than the movie?
This Pope, come on, man. Look, stay in your lane, and also you've got at a certain Catholics, you've got to start speaking out. There needs to be more. There need to be more Catholics in this country. If you believe, right there, it's the perfect opportunity. You can just say, no, I disagree with the Pope. I agree on individualism and liberty is more important. You know what? Jesus was kind of pro-liberty, and the Judeo-Christian foundings of this country were based on the idea of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So the Pope can take his commie bullshit elsewhere. I want to see Catholics being less cowardly because they're afraid that they might offend. And I know that I have so many people who come up and talk about this. They say, I don't know, man, this Pope, I don't know what the deal is. Something seems to be going wrong. Again, this is something right now. The theme of today is cowardice. I think it is when we talk about the perversion or the subversion of American culture, I think it all comes from making people subservient, and it comes from really taking advantage of people's cowardice.
Yeah, and people like the Pope in a position that is unquestionable. Like, you can't question the Pope necessarily if you're a Catholic and remain kind of a good Catholic in good standing, right, amongst your
To some
peers.
Catholics, yeah.
Well, no, to a lot of Catholics, they would just take offense to it, right?
Right.
And they would say, oh, well, he was talking about making sure that we're not self kind of absorbed in everything that we do, and to maybe provide.
You mean like living in a city of gold and having a man whose only job is not to make Pope shoes, not to make red shoes, to make the Popes exclusively red shoes?
Just like that.
I'm not sure who chose the red shoes and why that has to stay a thing. But
Don't be a narcissist, says the Pope.
Yeah, it's like the Wizard of Oz, except he just gives the cowardly lion a vaccine.
Yeah. Do you think he ever tried to change the red? Can we try like white shoes?
He has different shoes. He doesn't always wear the red shoes. But you know what, Pope?
My special shoes.
Shut up. Hey, you know what, Pope? If you talked about the message of salvation as often as you do communist philosophy and critical race, hey, maybe you'd be of value to the Christian world. I don't know.
Well, and as a Catholic, part of it is based on guilt, a lot of it, and that's why you have this representative that you can't say anything against, and that's what's kind of scary.
Yeah,
he's just another human being. That's what people have to realize.
Right.
He is another human being, and you are allowed to say something against.
Yeah, you're allowed to say that. Oh no, I don't think we should abandon individual liberty because I think this Pope is a communist. Okay.
Basically.
Here's something else too. I want to preface this. This is a story that just came out. I think it was yesterday. Or it came out the day before. This happened. There's a Fox reporter, a Latino LA officer, pulled over a crazy racist woman. And he, by the way, it's important to note that this department or this precinct didn't have body cameras. He paid for it himself for his own investment. He said to protect his job.
Yeah.
It's probably smart.
And I've spoken with some police officer friends, and this was shocking to a lot of people. They said, "Oh yeah, this happens all the time." My wife, to be clear, heard this from the other room. This is going to be enraging, and she said, "Well, there you go. See, it's not a black thing. That's the spoiled white woman there who's bought into the lie and hates cops." And I said, "No, this woman is black." She goes, "Oh, see, I wanted to hit her when I thought she was white."
Fair and balanced.
And she's pregnant with twins. That's like throwing a Marciano punch. She can really lay into it.
Yeah.
So here is a clip where this officer is calling a Mexican-American, this lady's calling a Mexican-American officer a murderer and a racist. And this is what they have to deal with. This is the environment we've created.
At 38.
Yes, you are, ma'am. Good morning.
And the speed limit is 40, and I was going 38, so why are you harassing me?
You are correct. I pulled you over because
you're a murderer. Yes, I started to record because you're a murderer.
You can't be on your cell phone while you're driving.
I'm more offended by the interrupting.
You because you scared me.
You can't use your cell phone while you're recording.
You.
May I have your driver's license?
It's at my apartment.
What? Do you have your driver's license?
I mistakenly left it at home.
Do you have a picture of your driver's license?
Yes, I do.
May I have it?
It's quite a rock on her finger. A happy man might get it for you.
I already did. He's on his way.
Good, because you're a murderer.
Okay.
I have a right to record the police when they're harassing me.
By all means, but you can't do it while you're driving.
I wasn't texting or none of that.
Do you have that
you
picture?
scared me and made me think you were going to murder me.
Currently, you made me think you're going to murder me.
Well, that's not just a feeling. You're a murderer.
Oh my God!
Can you zoom in on that for me, dear?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I'm perfectly legal, and I'm a teacher. So there.
Oh, the real hero.
Teacher.
You're a murderer.
What's your last name?
I can't see that there.
With
that salary?
Stop shaking. Zoom in on that for me,
No, because you're scaring me. You're threatening to kill me and my son. Can you give me
And your son.
I'll tell you what, you keep smiling. You're on camera.
You're trying to threaten to kill me.
All you need to do is your signature. He's only citing you for using your cell phone while you're driving. That's it.
There you go, ma'am. Sign inside the red box right there.
For him being a Mexican racist. What is that name?
What is that even?
What?
It's on the citation, ma'am.
Here you go, Mexican racist.
Whoa.
You're always going to be a Mexican. You'll never be white. You know that, right?
Wow.
You'll never be white.
Where's MS-13 when you need him?
Oh my God!
I want to see her head moving in slow mo in the foreground on top of a turtle.
I just would almost walk up and yell, "Gun!"
Yeah, you're just jogging by.
Sorry.
What an asshole. Wow.
Just by the way, everything there, victim.
Oh, gosh.
We've gotten rid of right and wrong. It's what's the hierarchy of victimhood?
Yeah.
Oh, you're trying to kill me. I'm a woman. I'm a teacher. I don't care if you're. By the way, she's a teacher of, I guess, dealing crack, Mercedes, and like you talked about sitting there.
Yeah. She got a beeper.
And people will be more offended that I imply dealing crack because I think she's a woman of color. No, I'm saying because she's a horrible person.
Yeah.
By the way,
She's calling someone a Mexican racist.
Yeah.
Not even realizing the irony that she's being completely racist.
Yeah.
While
Right.
she
You'll
says
never
that.
be
What
white.
is that last
You'll
name?
never be white.
Garcia.
What's that last name?
Whatever. You'll never be
not
white.
Garcia,
you'll never be
whatever
white. Okay.
I feel for.
I don't understand. Like, if I were this is the environment we have with these police officers. And by the way, she tried to file a formal complaint. She has filed other formal complaints. And this is something when people, for example, we're going to move into the Chauvin trial when people say there were complaints issued. And you know what? We need to have all of these records unsealed. Every cop will tell you that they have on a on an almost daily basis, at least several times a week, someone claiming they're going to have their badge, someone filing a complaint because they didn't want to get a ticket. I'm sorry. You can't just say, well, this officer has 18 complaints, therefore they need to be suspended. It can't be based on some number. That complaint, if not for him purchasing his own body cam, might be on his record that he threatened to murder somebody and that he was racist toward a woman of color. This is a horrible environment that we've created in the United States. And most people agree, by the way, including most black people. Over, 68% the last time they checked said we want at least as much police presence as we have or more, but people are afraid to speak out. Stop being cowards.
What do you think she's telling her son? She said, you're threatening to kill me and my son in the car. I'm like, oh, great. Now her son's in the car with that mom thinking we're going to have cops kill us every time they pull us over and cite us for using our cell phone.
She lies to him a lot, though. He's still waiting for, his dad to come back with cigarettes.
Oh.
What are you saying there, Corey?
I'm trying to tell you the sketch.
What? Oh, that's right. Oh, okay, that's right. I forget. Now no, thank you.
I tried.
Now, after all of this diatribe, boy, do we have egg on our face, because to be fair, in her defense, the cop in question was this. So
there you go.
Context is king, folks. Thank you, Porter Black Garrett. I was being incredibly unprofessional.
I'm sorry.
I thought he was saying that someone here said something out of line.
I need better hand signals.
I was trying to buy you time.
I'm glad he was just. No one here said anything that could get us banned. Instead, he was telling us we need the Hitler Don Lemon sketch.
That won't.
Looking out for you.
I feel good about our choices today.
I do too.
So let's go on. So here, let's move on to this. And, we've all had these discussions, and I know we disagreed on the Chauvin trial. A lot of Americans did. But I think here's something that we can agree upon. This was a trial that public, right? This was not justice in the sense that you had jurors who were intimidated, jurors who were terrified, and jurors who thought that they could use their position as a juror, supposed to be impartial, to try and affect social change, as opposed to being concerned with justice. Where does this come from? Brandon Mitchell, one of them, said on an April 27th podcast titled Get Up, Mornings with Erica Campbell. I already hate it. He said that people should join juries. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You don't just join juries.
I volunteer.
You're called. No. You don't just go like, I would like to volunteer.
Right.
I would like to be dumb enough to not be able to get out of jury duty.
Yeah.
Especially that trial. I'd be like, I'm so racist. Can I go?
He's totally guilty.
Yeah. Just viciously racist.
Just walk in and go,
I can't decide.
I'm glad it's this trial, because first I thought I might have to issue some kind of a ruling on an Asian. I packed a lunch. Will I be needing? No? Okay.
Oh, that's a shame.
Bye.
Then you just put your Klan hat on and leave.
Where's the door? Everything is paneled here, and the eye holes are small.
I can't see.
So on the podcast, he said that people should join juries to promote societal change.
Oh.
Here you go.
We were talking to Brandon Mitchell. He was juror number 52 in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Brandon, before we wrap, many people don't like jury duty and probably wouldn't respond to the letter that you get in the mail. So what message would you leave to those about saying yes to jury duty?
I mean, it's important. If we want to see some change, we want to see some things going differently, we got to get out there and get into these avenues and get in these rooms to try to spark some change. And that's jury duty is one of the things. Jury duty, voting, all of those things are things we got to do.
What do you
Well, that'll just be used for a mistrial.
You would think so.
Am I wrong?
I think he just get in these rooms.
He just said get in.
All right, we need to deliberate on the. Who is it? By the way, he was photographed in 2020 because we all want to believe that this was an impartial jury.
He's just looking at everybody's like, guilty. What do you think? Innocent. Guilty.
Like I said.
He white.
Guilty.
I'm the captain now. This jury belongs to me. So 2020, he was wearing a shirt that said, get your knee off our neck. So we know this now. He was at the march in Washington where George Floyd's brother spoke. By the way, hey, if you're watching right now, hit the notification bell because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot really quickly. And you'll know it's a show Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Is this the juror?
No.
Oh,
this is a juror. Yeah. Who did
That's really him?
Yeah, not the notification bell, but yes.
Oh, no, I know the notification.
A juror, or as you should refer to him, one of your peers.
Yes.
Juror number 44, too, as we go through this, said during jury selection that she'd viewed the bystander footage of Floyd and Chauvin, and it left her with a negative view of Chauvin. So right away, that's not someone who's going in unbiased. Juror number 92 wrote that in her juror questionnaire, Floyd didn't deserve to die. The police shouldn't have used excessive force. That's a conclusion that's already been drawn before she had seen the evidence.
Stacked.
And this is where it brings us again to the theme of the day, cowardice. So maybe those people have opinions. And they're wrong. And that's not how jury duty should take place, right? This is why they need to be sequestered. There's that movie, The Jury with John Cusack.
John Cusack, yeah. Grisham.
Yeah.
Except he didn't go on the show afterwards and say, see, we set it up.
Right.
It was great. We got those gun manufacturers.
But these people have these opinions, right? And they're going in, they're trying to affect change. They've said, this person has said that's their mission. And then you have other people, we'll never really know what they think. All we really know is they were scared. Is they were intimidated, they were scared, and that did affect their decision-making. So here's an example of someone who maybe we don't know where they lined up, but we know that they were terrified. Lisa Christensen said she was concerned about protesters coming to her house. She was concerned about being doxxed. She said that she had to wade through Dante White protesters to get home because she lived in Brooklyn Center. So this is, we just had those jurors saying guilty, guilty, guilty before the trial effectively. And then this lady who maybe went in with an open mind saying, did it affect my decision? Well, you be the judge.
Sure. I had mixed feelings. There was a question on the questionnaire about that, and I put I didn't know, because the reason at that time was obviously I didn't know what the outcome was going to be.
Did Garth eat Wayne?
I felt like either way the outcome was, you're going to disappoint one group or the other. So I didn't want to go through this whole rioting and destruction again, and a little concerned about people outside my house if they weren't happy with the verdict.
She knew the case was huge, but Christensen had no idea she would be so close during the trial to another death caused by police near her home in Brooklyn Center.
So when I came home, I could hear the helicopters flying over my house. If I stepped outside, I could see the smoke from those smoke grenades going on. I had a hard time getting to my house because all the protesters were blocking the intersections and stuff, so I had to go way around just to get home. So I was aware, but it did not affect me at all.
Yeah, she just went through 6 minutes about stuff that she'll have to be unloading with her therapist for decades to come. But no, I wouldn't say that it affected her. I went back to my job as the junk Muppet in Labyrinth.
Yes.
You're Betsy Boo, you need your Betsy Boo.
I'm Vince Neil at his work.
Oh, no.
All right, so this is just one of the, again, we are struggling with cowardice right now. We are struggling with cowardice, people who are afraid to speak up. We expect the left to throw tantrums. We expect, unfortunately, this is a sad state of affairs, the riots and the burning down and the lies from the media. We expect, but the issue right now is people who are not standing up to do the right thing, and we'll get into education in a little bit and also what's happening with the police force. But first off, hey, go to CrowderShop.com. You can buy this Fight Like Hell shirt. By the way, we don't mean physically fight. We mean that you need to fight everything, sometimes physically fight, like hermit crabs looking for a larger shell. If you're living in a Coke can and you would prefer a larger shell, sometimes you have to fight.
In spirit.
We're going to take your chat. We have police, Smooth Manny, the police sketch artist, in a little bit. And the best thing you can do, comment. Just leave a comment below as to how are you fighting every day? This is something everyone needs to check themselves every day. We've talked about checking your heart for gratitude. We've talked about checking yourself for, righteousness. You need to check yourself for cowardice. It is a poison. And I tell you this, I lived through high school as a coward. I was bullied. And I didn't really fight back. I was always afraid. And there was a turning point after I, sprouted up 6 inches and about 50 pounds. I was a late bloomer, an angry late bloomer. And I said, okay, that's not going to happen anymore. And I remember one time in my life, I've talked about this, not being a bully, but not helping a kid who I knew was being bullied. And I felt horrible. I felt so bad. I said, I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to let that happen again if something is in my power. At some point, you guys have to flip a switch and make this decision yourself. And when everyone in the United States makes that switch, that's the only way we'll see actual change. It's not change comes from you in some abstract way. Change comes from you once you grow a backbone. People in America need to grow a backbone. Not saying be a douche. Not saying go out and look to start trouble. I'm saying go out, and if you're strong enough, protect those who are vulnerable and can't defend themselves. You need to start stepping up, everybody. Okay, people who don't want to step up, this is something that's been going on, by the way. This is at Vox, an article, but this has been talked about quite a bit. Not only do we talk about defunding the police, but now woke activists are talking about how to police your own community. How you should handle these situations in the absence of police.
Be a vigilante.
No, not that at all. That would make too much sense.
Oh,
and it'd be cool.
I have a Spider-Man costume.
Oh, so no, they want no Paul Kersey. Though that's where things will go. That's where things will go if you don't have police.
I think it's already there almost.
I think it's starting to happen. Can we bring up overlay N from Vox? They ran an article in April encouraging people not to call the cops. What did they suggest instead? They suggest learn about local mental health resources. Great.
Okay.
You first, Vox.
If you're not calling the cops when there's an emergency, you should look into mental health resources.
Yeah. They say take a community approach to stopping violence. And we'll get into some specifics, which are just hilarious. They say seek resources to learn more about racial justice. Well, that's great with a crackhead and a beanie with a knife.
Yeah.
That'll stop him.
How have I wronged you? Now I'm sprinkling out water like Gremlins 2.
I apologize for my white blood getting on you.
Yeah. And here's something. This is something that's from Vox right now being pushed in the mainstream. This is not new. I want to be really clear about it. A lot of people think that defunding the police is where it ends. And they will say, some Democrats, so we don't really want to defund the police. We want to restructure police. No, they want to defund police, and they've done it in many municipalities. Yeah. But that's not all they want. They not only want to defund the police, they want you to live in a crime-ridden poverty zone in all of your generations from hereafter. That's what they want for you because they believe that you should not call the cops, and they're actually coaching you, instructing you on how to never call the cops. All predicated, of course, on racism, and cowards go along with it. Here you go.
This is what to do instead of calling the police.
Armed police presence often escalates rather than reduces the risk of violence in a situation.
Someone pooped on me.
Because police have been trained to see people of color, gender non-conforming folks, and Muslims as criminals, they often treat victims as perpetrators of violence. So if the victim hasn't asked you to call the police, do not.
What if they gurgled?
Repeat, do not call the police.
What it's telling people is, don't call the cops. You want your child to live, don't even call the cops.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so some other suggestions they make. Create a safety plan. These are very abstract, right?
Yeah.
Create a safety plan. Do not call the cops. The guy just got pushed on the third rail. What do you want me to do? Well, observe. Take mental inventory.
Think of your community.
Put on your poop emoji hat and kiss your ass goodbye. Write down, this is something they say. They say, write down what makes you happy. Okay? Let people shoplift. These are all their solutions.
Stabbed. Not being stabbed.
Hold on, let me take out my notepad.
Thank God I'm not the one being killed right now.
List your gratitudes. Well, up until this moment, I didn't realize just how nice it was to not be filled with cold steel.
Signed, Mr. They're taking my baby.
Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till you're stabbed? They say smelling and tasting things. These are in the clips. And massaging yourself. These are how they talk about how to deal with criminal activity in your... Here's another montage. In case, and all the sources are available at louderwithcrowder.com.
The first step is to write down affirming thoughts and beliefs. And this can feel kind of like woo-woo and silly to write these things down. But when you do this before a crisis happens, it really helps redirect your mind when you are starting to feel that crisis. So really think about why you want to be safe, what parts of your life make you feel the most proud or excited or happy.
And we need to take action in and by ourselves, in doing things to change that internalization, those mindsets, but also by working with others and creating that kind of community that has less police and needs less police. Do you need to do anything about the person shoplifting from Target? No, it's not harming anybody. It's not your business.
What if you own a Target?
And you start listing things that you can observe with your senses, right? These are things that you can see or hear or smell or taste or touch. I think it can be really helpful to massage yourself when you're in a crisis situation. It releases that oxytocin that really helps you kind of feel good in your head. And it also kind of makes you be mindful of muscle tension. So massaging your neck or your shoulders. Also kind of giving yourself some compression on your chest, kind of simulating a hug. You're going to do a little butterfly hugs and butterfly taps.
Oxytocin, good use. Apparently now neurotransmitters and hormones are a thing. Good. So yeah, massage yourself, which obviously brings us to, because, Cops was canceled, brings us to this week's installment of the rebooted No Cops.
Tonight on No Cops.
Give me the money! Oh! Give me the money! Oh, help! Are you okay? Need help? Give me the money! I need help!
tuned for more No Cops.
Should be noted they're both dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
One bullet, though.
It was immediate.
Well, he died in comfort.
Yeah.
His shoulders were not tense.
Yeah.
Went straight down. The gunman then turned it on himself.
Right.
Yeah.
He just didn't like them.
But only he ran out, like at the end of the mist, just. And you go, why did I waste this amount of time?
Nobody
and who gives
here
a
to hug
shit about
me.
Stephen King's tweets. So just this last week, by the way, Mayor Bill de Blasio, in case you don't know, America's mayor. He announced that the NYPD will no longer be responding to mental health crisis calls. Instead, they're calling social workers.
Oh.
Wonderful. Hey, and this is also the issue. First off, you...
Sorry.
First off, if you're not a social workers are about as useless as the person with the poop emoji hat. But the issue here is you don't know what kind of drug someone is on. You don't know what kind of a weapon they have. And social workers aren't equipped to deal with it. Let's say a situation like Micaiah Bryant. You didn't know that she was about to stab until that last fraction of a second.
Yeah.
And Hickok 45 did the neighborhood a favor. Oh, wait, hold on a second. What are you saying that Micaiah Bryant deserved to be shot? Yes, I am. Absolutely. Yeah. No regrets.
100% in that moment, she deserved to be shot. There is no doubt about it. And by the way, I think like days before they released this policy saying, hey, we're no longer going to do this, officers responded to a wellness check. Very, benign, right? Somebody just going to check on them. Yeah, well, it ended up in a standoff and 2 officers were killed. What do you think is going to happen if you send social workers into that environment?
Right.
Less social workers.
Yeah, we're probably going to end up with fewer social workers.
I'm down for this.
Almost. Oh, wait a second. Is Donald Trump playing 11D chess?
Oh, my God.
Might be 12D.
Back the blue. Send out the social. No, don't send the social workers. Don't do that. Especially not in Watts.
I hope the Italian mob comes roaring back.
I know, right?
Seriously, you need them now.
Yeah.
You need them now. They knew how to police everything. They had their businesses. I'm telling you, I live there. It needs the mob back. You're going to see trash picked up. Nightclubs aren't going to have bums in front of them. It's going to be great.
Also,
bring back the mob. Yeah, that's where I stand.
I'm going to see that pull over. Yeah, you racist Italian. That's right, racist Italian. Yeah. What the fuck you going to do? Yeah. All right, now I'm taking your hubcaps and whatever you got in your wallet. Hey,
racist Italian. It's a little redundant, ain't it, baby?
Yeah. Listen, I'm Sicilian. I'm just saying, there's a black man hiding in my woodpile somewhere down the line. You and I could be brother and sister. Only I'm not an asshole.
Yeah.
Call your supervisor.
You can't call my supervisor. Oh, yeah, you want to call my supervisor? Yeah, Vinny Boombots. Hey, Vinny, he says go fuck yourself.
You want to call his supervisor? It'd be even funnier. Right in the face.
I could do this all night. Come on.
Basically, once you go high up enough, we're no longer dealing with the patsies for the higher-ups. It's just the 4 families. You ever seen an Olive Garden commercial? They're horrible. We're nothing like that. We just shoot you. All right.
Like Olive Garden deserves.
Yeah, like Olive Garden deserves. Hey, what is a pipe bomb when you need one?
Yeah, is that a lasagna stick? Did you just say this to me? With a straight face? What do you mean, you test kitchen in Tuscany? Yeah. I'm going to slap this bitch.
I just flew in from Florence. The bitch took me to the Olive Garden. Thanks.
I'm having a whacked.
Oh, yeah, they have that on the kids' menu. Whack the server. It looks fun. I get it. No, I get it now. You're still going to die. Okay, so let's go in here to critical race theory. We've done a full segment on this. And by the way, all the sources are available at loudoscrowder.com. You can type in, if YouTube search is working, Crowder critical race theory. We've done more of a deep dive is a term that the kids use on that. But this is important just in the sense of not only critical race theory. There are things that exist in the periphery, right? Things that exist in the orbit that are still being implemented in schools. Last week, during his joint address to Congress, former Vice President Joe Biden, he talked about the American Families Infrastructure Plan.
Yeah.
And so we assumed that had to do with bridges and roads. No. He talked about funding, of course, and emphasizing more funding to education. So we'll set this up and then explain to you what that means and what is happening.
The great universities in this country have conducted studies of the last 10 years. It shows that adding 2 years of universal high-quality preschool for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old, no matter what background they come from, puts them in the position to be able to compete all the way through 12 years.
Unless they're a girl in sports.
And increases exponentially their prospect of graduating and going on beyond graduation.
Obey.
The research shows when a young child goes to school, not daycare, they're far more likely to graduate from high school and go to college or something after high school.
Prison.
When you add 2 years of free community college on top of that, you begin to change the dynamic.
And I've made this, and people get mad at me. I don't think that we need to be adding time to education. I think we need to be shaving off time and making it more efficient. I really do. I don't think that having kids in school starting at 3 and paying all the way through 19 or however, how old? You graduated at 18 in the United States? Okay. I graduated a year early, and we graduated like at 17. So I was 16. So
I was almost 20.
You were almost 20 when you graduated high school? Yeah. Did you actually flunk?
No, I was 19. I did. It was 5 years.
Oh, wow. Well,
yep. I liked my parents put me in daycare. Slippery slope into drugs after that. Oh. He makes a good point.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Oh my gosh.
You want 16 years of your life to be spent in education, two on the front.
And this is
end.
And if we were talking about education, like adding up, doing math, your multiplication tables, long division, learning about history, sciences. But that's not what's happening. And this is where the agendas are being implemented. And this is a problem with some people say, well, you know what, we're just printing more money. Yeah, it's not just the X amount of hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars at this point, $6 trillion from his inauguration up to the proposals. It's about what hides in these bills.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's too late where you go, I had no idea when we were teaching kids that? Mm-hmm. What? Yeah, it was in there. You didn't read it because it was 19,000 pages. The only exception being the Green New Deal, which is like 4.5 if you double space and use a size 19 font. So what Biden's not telling you is the Education Department's proposed priorities for schools. And this is from the New York Times 1619 project and work from Ibrahim. So here we go. This is let's talk about the 1619 project really quickly. This is something I want to implement, and this is something you've talked about in the past.
Yeah. So I mean, what you have to understand about the 1619 project is that it's basically pulling all of these ideas together, all these different people, and putting it into one kind of theme that says the United States is a racist country to its core. That it was founded on racism. That slaves actually came over and founded this country essentially before we got here, and that has kind of done everything to shape the country that we live in today. And
so that's not incorrect. The Native Americans did have slaves.
They did. They did have slaves. They're like, hey, we already did this.
Yes.
You guys are unoriginal, right? But their whole basis is to say, look, everything that we do now in teaching people about history in this country is wrong.
Right.
We're teaching civics incorrectly. We're saying that these are people to revere, the founding fathers of this country and the people who started this country, and that's wrong. They were actually racist to the core, and the only way that we can make this society better is if we teach you the actual racist systemic issues of this country from the beginning.
Right, and that's also where 1619 comes from. It's 1619, right? That's when slaves first landed in Virginia. So the idea is that's really when America was created. They want this to be a part of the curriculum. This is the Department of Education. Again, the sources are available on our website. They want slavery to be recognized not only as America's original sin, but its origin. And this is important. This is important too because I did a video a long time ago in 2009, I believe, where I went to Berkeley, and there was a lady. This was the subject. This was before hidden cameras. I remember I put a photo camera in a trucker hat, and just cut a hole in it.
It didn't look weird
and I just had to pick going into the classes that were in the biggest lecture halls. And I asked this teacher, you can type in Stephen Crowder Berkeley if the search engine works on YouTube.
Get smart.
Yeah, exactly. And she was talking about slaves. She said, these slaves were taken from the old world and they were taken into the new world, and then they were forced to be slaves. And I said, question. Professor, who is teaching this exact topic, your area of expertise, how many of these slaves were slaves in the old world and were sold into slavery versus, kidnapped with giant nets and turned into slaves? She said, that's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that. It could be 96%. At the lowest, it's 85%, and you can take that from Cornell West.
Wow.
Yeah. She didn't know that. And then she talked about how the reason that these people were slaves and that they came over and they were really effective in tilling some of these fields. She asked students to go through reasons as to why this might be the case. And I said, could it be because they had experience being slaves in the old world? Not excusing it, by the way, but it would seem to be relevant as job experience is the first thing you list on your resume. She said, no, I don't think, and she went on some diatribe as to why it was about systemic racism. This is a lie that they teach your kids. And I sat there. And I had a kid next to me afterwards say I wanted to ask that same thing. Cowardice. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Cowardice is the issue right now. No one out there who actually, you can say that America, obviously slavery is a black dot in our history. Of course, everyone here would agree with that. We are not uniquely responsible for creating slavery. We are uniquely responsible for ending it and fighting one of the bloodiest wars in history, certainly a domestic war, to end slavery. Okay, that is important to note. And anyone who teaches, hey, you know what, this is something we're responsible for, we created slavery, is lying. And anyone who is silent is a coward. So I want you to comment, just comment, how can you stand up in your class? When have you remained silent? People used to ask me, hey, should I keep my head down? I said, keep your head down, get your grade, finish school. Not anymore. Also, smash that like button. Everyone watching live right now, to all of you, I have no idea, I know it's probably quite a few, just hit that like button because this helps us on YouTube because we do not show up in search or suggested. As many of you know right now, if you type in Stephen Crowder Berkeley. It teaches 1619 that American exceptionalism grew out of anti-black racism.
Right.
Man.
One of the authors, Matthew Desmond, wrote, in order to understand the brutality of American capitalism, you have to start on the plantation. It also sources Kendi's novel, How to Be Anti-Racist. So it's critical race theory.
Yeah, it pretty much. And basically they're tying education funding to this. So for you to get, and now it's not a huge amount of money, but it is millions of dollars. For schools to get millions of dollars, they have to teach it this way.
Yeah. Well, overall, it ends up being billions of dollars when you add everything up.
Yeah, well, the whole program.
Yeah, when we're just talking about 1619. Keep in mind, they also, how much money? Gone. Right, we're talking about the 1776 initiative from Donald Trump, which is to teach kids that, hey, America's a pretty good country. Gone. That's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't whitewash anything.
That's overlay E if you want to bring that up there.
Yeah, it doesn't whitewash anything. The 1776 project just says, hey, we are something unique here. Yeah. This is a good thing. We have things that we've done horribly wrong, just like every other country in existence. The only thing is we're going to go ahead and say, hey, we did that wrong. Let's learn from it.
Right.
Let's not just cover up the history and say everybody was racist. And they also, this is giving people one more excuse. Everything that's wrong with you and your society right now is because this country is founded on racism.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the fact that, they're talking about schools. Oh, if we just add 2 more years. How about this, Joe? How about you talk about the number one determinant if somebody's going to graduate from high school or not is if they have a mom and a dad in the house.
Yeah.
Or a mom and a dad that care. Or even a mom or a dad that spends time with them and makes sure they do their homework.
Even more, how about you talk about the affirmative action and the quota policies that you supported that locked out Asian students from Brown and from Ivy League universities because they were scoring too high, and the average Asian American median household income is higher than that of white Americans or black Americans, despite the fact that they were also slaves who built the railroads. Oh, and by the way, their grandparents were put in internment camps. Our bad. Sorry.
Well, and as far as sex slavery goes, there's still.
Yeah. Still
people don't realize this for some reason. Well, slavery still exists in so many ways in the world.
Well, it exists as basic slavery in the Middle East.
Correct.
And then here you have sex, but you can't talk about that because then you need to talk about securing the borders, because a huge portion of sex slavery in the United States happens with what? People being trafficked across the border. Can't talk about that. So we don't really care about the victims. Again, cowardice. People don't speak out. Just look into sex slavery. Just a little bit. I mean, obviously put your safe search on.
I'll do some research.
Put your safe search on. And again, back to America's mayor, de Blasio announced in January that he was, this is another thing because it's racist.
I hate
I'm about to
face.
say something that you're going to go, well, how does this make sense? No, it doesn't if you assume systemic racism. Eliminating entry exams for New York City schools.
The gifted and talented test is the definition of a high-stakes test, a single test that determines so much. This approach to testing is not something I believe in. It's not something the chancellor believes in. It's something that's caused a lot of frustration for so many families. At this point in the year, a lot of families had already prepared. They were counting on the opportunity. We respect that, so we'll go forward. But we will not be providing that test in the future. We need a much better approach to serving kids who have a lot of capacity. That's great. Some kids have a lot of talent.
Do you think that signer has his Megadeth t-shirt under the button down?
But that's a lot of kids.
Speaking of kids, here's a picture of my daughter's beaver she took on the subway.
Small amount of gifted and talented programs that exist.
Okay, good. By the way, really quickly on CNN, they just said, hey, Pfizer applying for full FDA approval. You know that there are tens of millions of Americans who already got the shots. What?
Wait.
Huh? What do you mean approval?
Pardon me?
It's it's worse than that, Stephen. It's emergency approval for vaccines for kids 2 to 11.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
Because that's an emergency group right now.
Things are turning up fast.
So it's like the movie Casino. They just kept moving it to the bottom of the pile.
Right, yes, exactly.
Pretty much.
Now, so to go back to de Blasio, he wants to do away with standard entry exams. This comes despite the fact that over 140 New York City schools had at least one grade where more than 90% of students failed the state exams in 2019.
Unbelievable.
This was before COVID, mind you.
Is this racist?
I don't understand how tests are racist.
Yeah, no, we're going to get into why tests are racist. And so is
Doesn't this
math.
just decide, and I'm not even trying to be funny, doesn't this just decide if you have, like, mental handicap?
I tried to listen to what de Blasio was just saying, and I didn't understand it. Like,
I didn't either.
I think he is mentally handicapped.
He is.
I think he's just doing away. I think that this guy, I think this is the greatest, political coup in history. He failed all of his entry exams as a kid, and he said, I'll show them light and weight.
Yeah.
For about 40 or 50 years.
Long
and then,
game.
boom, did away with the ones that screwed him. Standardized testing.
Long con.
Really? De Blasio a fake name, too? Like, he's not even Italian?
It sounds fake.
Sounds fake.
I think de Blasio is not his name. I'm just saying.
Well, let's have the interns over there research it.
Allegedly.
And this is something else. Before we go back to tests, just again going back to cowardice. Just a few weeks ago, Grace Church, there was a school teacher there named Paul Rossi. I want to make sure I get this name correctly. Correct. Sorry, he was relieved from teaching. That means fired, by the way.
Yeah.
For writing a New York Post op-ed, and it was titled, "We're Damaging Kids with Critical Race Theory." So he was fired from his teaching position, okay?
Unbelievable.
Just by saying we're damaging kids
Correct.
with critical race theory. Again, go do some research on critical race theory. White people, bad. Patriarchy, bad. Basically, original sin that white people should be ashamed of something that is completely outside of their control. And this person wrote, by the way, a very measured column in the New York Post saying, I think we're damaging our kids. This is shared, by the way, with about half the country. But here's the kicker. The head of Grace Church, George Davison, was then caught on audio after this guy was fired, during a conversation with Rossi, agreeing with the fact that the school demonizes white kids through critical race theory. Here it is, recorded.
The fact is that I'm agreeing with you that there has been a demonization that we need to get our hands around in the way in which people are doing this understanding.
Okay, so you agree that we're demonizing kids?
We're demonizing we're demonizing white people for being born.
And are some of our students white people?
What?
Are some of our students white people?
Yes.
Okay, so we're demonizing white kids. Why don't you just say it?
We are using language that makes them feel less than. For nothing that they are personally responsible for.
By the way, the fact that guy didn't realize he was being recorded, he should fire himself. Do we have any white students? What? Why are you asking such direct, poignant questions?
Strange.
Well, also answering it in a roundabout way is not going, we're making them feel less than.
Yeah.
Did I get away with that?
Yeah, did I get away with that?
No? Hello?
Yeah.
Is there someone listening?
We're making them feel less than.
Well,
okay, let's just flip it. What if you were to say that insert race here is less than? As a matter of fact, that's almost the definition of racism. Not recognizing racial differences, mind you. There's nothing racist about recognizing the differences between people of different races. You don't have to be colorblind. That was a lie, too. But thinking that someone is less than exclusively because of their race, which is what critical theory teaches. You'll say, well, no, they're not saying that white people are less than. We're just saying they have more to atone for simply through being born white. I would say that's being born with extra baggage just because of your race. Again, I would say by the definition of racism, it's racist.
And not even just more to atone for, like there's some original sin that we're born with as being white, is that we are less than because we are inherently racist. We're incapable of seeing people outside of the lens of race.
Yeah.
That's the comment.
Us and Mexicans. Racist Mexican cop, you're trying to murder me.
Yeah. With a pencil, apparently.
Go take your vajazzled phone and try to swim in the river.
Vajazzled?
I'm
not sure.
Go take a swim without your arm floaties.
Infomercial? The vajazzler.
Vajazzle.
You gotta bling it up.
By the way, Dave was right. His name is Warren Wilhelm Jr.
See
the Wilhelm scream?
He pretended to be Italian. See?
Well, no. He changed his name because his mom's name was de Blasio. Her maiden name was de Blasio.
He's still a liar.
He's still a liar.
That's why he went with the other
absolutely
name.
a liar.
He's a liar. We already knew he was a liar, but
You
now
know what
he's
he
a
wants?
bigger liar.
He wants the governor job right now of New York.
Yeah, he's
Because he really hates old people.
Eyeballing it right now. He's like, oh yes, I've got you, Cuomo.
Yeah, he wants to take over for old Hansy LaRue. With this though, I've talked to a lot of teachers who teach young students.
You mean the real heroes.
The real heroes I've spoken to, not just the ones that work at fast food places during the pandemic. Other heroes, but I've talked
to frontline workers. Yes,
frontline workers. That's correct. God's gift.
Yes, they're going into the automated McDonald's drive-thru and hearing the sounds of D-Day. Just would you like fries? And that's not what's happening.
No.
I'm white. I like hero spit. Is there... But I've talked to a lot of teachers, preschool teachers, and they say they are completely and very concerned with what they have to teach students because they do think that it demonizes the white kids.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, with this guy getting fired, and we're talking about cowardice, what can they really do? Because now you've put something on the line, like their job, the way they make a living.
That's, you know what, we're at the point where
That's
people are just going to have to be willing to do it. It's got to become World War Z, where it's just a mountain of bodies on a wall, where you can't even see the difference between the wall and the body. It's just got to be so much that people are going to have to say, look, hey, we're going to run out of people who want to be teachers. We can't only take it from the Afro-lesbian underwater basket weaving department.
Yeah.
It's a niche market, guys.
But we are being crippled financially as a society, and that's the eradication of the middle class, and it makes it hard for people.
Well, I think what people also need to do is you need to start homeschooling.
Yeah,
I
You
agree.
start pulling out your kids from people like, the pandemic made me realize I want to send my kids back to school. Well, then you must really hate your kids.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the only way right now. And this is why in other countries, homeschooling is very limited. When I was in Canada, I knew one kid who was homeschooled. His name was Simon. We thought he was retarded.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there used
Special
to be
needs.
pretty antisocial weirdos.
Yeah, they used to be, but now the truth is, kids at school are antisocial weirdos. There's so many ways to socialize your kid if you homeschool them. You can get them in intramural activities. It doesn't have, and there are systems that exist. There are programs in place where you can play for a team if you're a walk-on with your local school.
There are tons of options now. And look, if you're going to send your kid to public school, sometimes that's the only option you have. I get it. Try to find another option. But if you can't, get involved with your school board. People around the country right now are starting to go to their school boards and say, enough's enough. And if you guys don't change, like an entire school board was basically ousted.
That's right, yeah.
Recently, and the crowd just was in there saying, "Look, these are our kids. These are our children. You don't get to decide."
They don't believe that, though. They don't believe that they're your kids. They don't believe that you have the right to teach your kids about sex. They don't believe that you have the right to teach your kids about morality. They don't believe that you have the right to teach your kids about the United States history. They don't believe that you have the right to teach your kids about God. They don't believe that you have. They believe that they should own your kids from. You just heard it from the former vice president's mouth. 14 years now. What? 14? How many years?
16 years.
16 years. 16 years. He can't even count that high unless he's wearing sandals.
You're right. They don't believe that. We need to, as DeSantis says, disabuse them of that notion.
Well, homeschool sex ed would be weird. Especially if you go to prom and you get to go all the way.
Yeah.
Homeschool prom. Let's make a flipper, baby.
All right.
Terrible.
Whose heels in Kentucky keep on shining.
You're all right, though. You do
let's go to San Francisco, which, by the way, is just as creepy as Flipper Kids.
Trying to dig out of a hole.
It's just as creepy as Flipper Kids. San Francisco in 2014, they stopped tracking math courses from the 6th through 10th grade. Here's some slides from the school district's presentation, right? They read, math is a web, not a ladder. A web of lies. Secondary math course sequence options. A social justice agenda. All students are mathematically brilliant.
Nope.
I hear the collective groans of people whose forefathers were put in internment camps. Are bad! Redefine what it means to do math. Okay, these are the same people saying trust the scientific method. The beauty of math, and also what I don't like about it, is it's rigid. You cannot redefine it. Now, they do believe you can redefine it. You have certain curriculums. If you look at Common Core, where 2 plus 2 does not equal 4.
I know.
Also, Terrence Howard vehemently opposes traditional math because he's a genius.
He does have an Oscar.
Have you heard him talk about it?
great
I have discovered new mathematical sequences.
Oh,
Sorry,
really?
I don't even. No, this is the way Terrence Howard talks. We were taught that 2 plus 2 is 3, but it's not. Really, what if 2 plus 2 is actually 5?
It's hot out here for a pimp.
I'm kind of retarded.
In California, not just San Francisco, September of last year, California teachers and education organizations, meaning in a lot of cases unions, released a toolkit. What do you think it was called? Was it called, hey, how to improve mathematical outcomes, how to improve standardized performance for students? No, it was called A Pathway to Equitable Math Instruction.
Equitable.
Again, this is something that people say a lot, like, oh, well, we shouldn't be concerned with equity. We should be concerned, shouldn't be concerned with equality. We should be concerned with equity. The two are diametrically opposed. You can either have equality, meaning everyone has an opportunity, or you can have equity, meaning forced outcomes, which necessitates the precluding of opportunities for certain individuals. How are you going to determine that? Race, sex, gender, because there's 57.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Equity is, by the very definition, as they are teaching it, anti-equality. People need to understand. It sounds really cool, and it's really nice for people who have master's degrees in German poetry with a minor in philosophy. They want to tell you that, yeah, it's not about equality, it's about equity. Well, how do you ensure equity. How do you ensure equal outcomes without infringing not only on liberties, but equal opportunities? It cannot be done.
No.
You cannot have an exact fixed number of black students and Asian students and white students and reverse what you believe is systemic racism in equity outcomes. See, I'm getting confused myself, like with Ellen Page yesterday. You cannot enforce equity outcomes and have those numbers be consistent without a system designed to exclude specific groups from opportunities that are available to others.
Yeah, and
That's Elliot Page, by the way.
Yeah, it's Elliot.
What did I say?
You said Ellen again. It's
well,
so
you know
confusing.
what? I'm just a hateful prick.
Well, look, and what you just described is communism. It's the lowest common denominator. You can't. If they were saying we're going to raise everybody up to the highest level, I think it would still fail. But at least that would be something that would be better than what they're saying, because they're saying, look, everybody has to come down to this level so that everybody has an equal outcome. Top performers.
This is why China is laughing at us, because in China,
Yeah.
they beat their kids in order to scare them into performing. Here, we beat them down for overperforming.
Yes.
Wow, that's well said.
Oh, I thought you were going to
No, it's terrifying. No, I agree.
Back to you, Bob.
Well, no, just with math. I mean, people have different talents. I don't know why anybody would have to explain this. I
Yes,
suck at
Asians
math.
are better at math. That's
Yes,
right,
they
Dave.
are.
That's what I heard
In general.
you say. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they are.
Yes.
I'm going to stand by that.
A big part of
comment.
that, too, by the way, is also because of their languages. If you look like Chinese.
Well, yeah, no, it lends
the
itself to
structure
itself
of their
to math.
language.
And it also lends itself to specificity, which is also why rice is a very hard crop to cultivate as opposed to corn in the United States, which is more robust. So if you actually look at the sort of servants in the Asian world who are working in rice fields, very different, far more persnickety crop. Anyway, the point is, racial stereotype, Asians tend to be better at math because statistics. And you know what? There are worse racial stereotypes that could exist. Asians.
It's not even a racial.
Count your lucky stars. What were we about to say?
Indeed. Oh, no, I was just saying I was terrible at math. I mean, the only thing I learned is there was 16 ounces in a pound, 28 grams in an ounce, and grams for $10.
There you go.
That's honestly the only thing I remember from my.
And
once
that it helps to show all 10 fingers.
Yes. And once they added letters, I was like, I'm going to go get high. It just makes no sense.
I have no idea what X equals, and I don't.
So, pathway to equitable math instruction in California. And again, we're talking about this is what your taxpayer dollars are going to. The toolkit is described as, bring up overlay K, resources and guidance to support Black, Latinx, and multilingual students to thrive in grades 6 through 8. First off, just right away, and I hate, you should always check out the sources, but anytime someone unironically writes Latinx, bullshit.
Yep. Right off.
It feels lazy.
The person who would use Latinx is that you're a racist Mexican. You're a racist Latinx.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Here we have slide 1 is dismantling racism in mathematics instruction. Its first chapter includes an entire section on dismantling white supremacy in math classrooms. Some of the listed ways. I know it's like, why are you? Because I don't have like Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity. I don't have a prompter, and I want to make sure that I get this right. Again, you have all the sources available to you. I encourage you to read up on all of this because it is a pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about. These are some of the listed ways math perpetuates white supremacy. This is on equitableMath.org, page 7, so you can follow along. Just follow the bouncing asshole. The focus on getting the right answer. That's a bad thing. Students are tracked. We're back to Native Americans here. He went north. Students are required to show their work. Grading practices are focused on lack of knowledge. At a certain point, I don't even have space for this.
Do you know why
students just focus, attendance, and not cheating is a problem?
Yes. Do you know why students are asked to show the work? It's not only not cheating, though Dave is right. I just look on the other paper and be like, oh, that's 12. Fantastic.
Yeah, sit next to the Asian kid.
Yeah, exactly. It's to make sure that you can help correct the flaw in the process if you come to the incorrect answer.
It's like,
so
you
you
know
want
all
them
that
not to be able to
schooling
teach
stuff?
math.
Yeah.
All that schooling stuff, take it out.
Yeah.
Take it all out. It's all racist. Get it out.
How did I get this wrong? Well, hell, I don't know. I didn't require you to show your work, so just keep trying.
One time I failed a math exam in the 8th grade because they give you like sort of an empty box to show your work. This is how it works in Canada. I drew a penis.
Every single box?
Every single box.
Well, did you at least add like different
But you know what my
layers?
punishment was? Was they made me retake the test.
Did you do it
in
again?
Canada? I thought
did.
they just had you draw a nicer penis.
I passed, but barely.
Nice.
Because I spent all the time on the ball hairs.
You should at least draw one piece.
Yeah, you put it in the Scantron. It's just A+.
Depends.
Got a nice
patriarchy at work.
So look, let's connect these dots here. Again, we're talking about cowardice. Pope, coward. People who are afraid to speak out against the Pope, cowards at this point. Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, I don't care. Many voices need to speak out against cowardice. We're talking about people now saying not only do we need to defund the police, but you shouldn't call the police. People who don't speak up and say, hey, that's actually going to victimize people in these urban communities. You know who's not going to be victimized by the Black Lives Matter movement and poop emoji hat Z? White people in rural communities, they need the police less than anybody. They are the ones who go to their neighbors and ask for a cup of sugar or help them with their tractor, right? These are it's people in urban areas, particularly areas with a lot of poverty, who need access to the police because they don't know how to handle someone on PCP with a machete. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to put your communities into an irreparable situation that you can't return. And what happens is a lot of people are afraid to speak out. They're afraid we see this you've talked about this with your family members in the black community. You're not black. Just like Joe Biden said, just like a lot of black. Tim Scott was Uncle Tim, right? So people are afraid, well, I saw what they did to Tim Scott. I don't want to speak up. Now you see this with the racial equity when we're talking about schools. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars, and people are afraid to go forward. People are afraid to go to the PTA meetings and say, hey, you know what? We just had an entire trial about whether oxygen deprivation can actually lend itself to brain damage or potentially killing someone. And I think it's a bad idea to put 4 to 6 year olds in a mask or double mask for 8 hours a day. They're afraid to speak out. You don't have a choice at this point. The most pervasive problem in our society right now, and the Republican Party is just a reflection of that, not speaking out, is cowardice. So comment, I want to hear, how are you guys going to, where have you recognized some cowardice? How are you going to correct it? And you know what else we're about to do? We're about to go to Mug Club, so people will take some of your chats, louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club, and we have a Smooth Manny the Police sketch artist.
No. That's right.
Yeah.
Which, of course, we could never do on YouTube.
No.
We're going to see you tomorrow. YouTube, we got 45 minutes that you don't want none of this. Piss off.